Hello and welcome to Firearm Freedom. This is going to be a video asking the wonderful question of what is a good 1911? I do not have any sponsors to the channel right now. So if you would like to help out this channel, just hit subscribe and comment down below. I'm having a hell of a time getting back to comments right now because I'm putting all my focus into actually producing content, but I do read every one of them that comes through and it's very motivating. Secondly, to that, I do have a B channel. That B channel is called FF Lifestyle. I love FF Lifestyle so much. Just give it a subscribe, man. It's not gun related content, it is all random. You never know. It's going to diversify your subscription feed from fitness content, action vlogs, hiking around, any type of boarding sports, snowboarding, skateboarding, longboarding, downhilling, vehicle reviews, and everything in between. You guys are going to love this stuff over there. There's got to be something over there is going to pique someone's interest, and I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs. What is a good 1911? And I get that question so frequently. I'm actually standing today next to an entire display case of 1911s. I love them quite a bit, and I have been buying and also selling 1911s for a very long time. You have a wild price scale. You start at $199 to $299 and end at, like, what do those meteorite pistols go for? Like $1.5 million or something like that. So you have a huge price difference. And then you also have in the real realm of things, Nighthawks coming in at anywhere from 5,000 to 6,000 at their highest. A lot of people get a little confused, and I am going to tell you my experience. There are going to be flyers outside of this category, but it has been pretty accurate to me. And there are many people that are going to watch this. I promise you, this is not rage bait. There are many people that are going to watch this and get super frustrated because they spent the money on the guns that I'm going to kind of talk a little bit negatively on, and it's hard to hear that. And what I almost always recommend is a 1911 in the price point of roughly $800 to $1,200. That $800 to $1,200 area is usually a great place to be when it comes to a 1911. Almost always in that wheelhouse, you're going to get a 1911 that is not only reliable, but also relatively accurate and having some upgraded features as well. One company, surprisingly, that plays really well in that price point, as much as I don't like the company itself, is Springfield. Springfield's 1911s are shockingly good. Now, there is a huge catch to everything that I'm saying here. When I am talking about a good, reliable 1911, I am talking about a full frame, 5-inch or commander size 1911 in 45 ACP. When you get outside of that, when you go to the extreme subcompact 1911s, when you go into 9mm 1911s, 10mm 1911s, or any other oddball caliber, reliability track record starts getting much more spotty. So if you say, hey, I went with this, but it's the ultra compact 1911 from Springfield or like one of the emissaries or something like that, reliability, throw it out the window. For whatever reason, I couldn't tell you why, when you get outside of a full-length government-size 1911, it starts getting a little hairy. Also, when it comes to calibers, again, for whatever reason, 45 ACP 1911s, even from shit companies that aren't really good, tend to fare better than 9mm 1911s from those same shit companies. So if you're trying to get a good, reliable 1911, stick with 45, stick with a full frame, and that is going to be usually just fine. But Springfield, in that category of things, has really never did me wrong. I have a 1911 A1 loaded. That was actually my first 1911 I ever bought, and I still have that to this day. It's a stainless gun, and it has been incredible for me. I have never had any issues with that 1911. They have now the Range Officer, the Garrison, all those from anyone that I have sold at a gun shop or any buddies that have had those. They've always been excellent, provided their 45 ACP. We can't talk about 800 to 1200 and not talk about the sub 500 1911s. You are talking companies like TSOS, any of the SDS TSOS guns, Rock Island, and the like. Those pistols usually are very rough around the edges. You're starting to get into a category where maybe it's a little bit more of a crapshoot. 800 to 1200, less of a crapshoot, almost always going to work perfectly and be 100% reliable. Entry level under 5, probably going to be just fine, and at that price point you can take the risk. I have had zero issues with my Rock Island and my SDS. They have both been 100% in a full frame 45 ACP. When you start branching off into those categories, into lightning cuts in the slide and all these other cheap Turkish guns that have way too much shit going on, all of a sudden, again, reliability, throw it out the window. And Rock Island was originally made off of Colt tooling back in the day. People argue this with me, but you can go back and you can look at World War I 1911s and also look at any traditional 1911 designs from Colt, and you will notice something called a battle rattle. This here is a Rock Island, and as you can see, it has a battle rattle. What does that mean? That means that we have a little bit of loose tolerances on the slide and the frame. In my experience, the loose tolerances mean that it is probably going to be very reliable. Really hard for some people to grasp with the 1911, because with a 1911, they are thinking Nighthawk. They are thinking match precision gun. They are thinking, let me do that test where there shouldn't be any movement in that gun because I want it to be so unbelievably accurate. The problem with that mindset is when you have tolerances that are that tight, and oh my God, they can get tight in the 1911, you start having reliability problems with that gun at very low round counts, even sometimes as low as 300 to 500 rounds in a range day. All of a sudden the gun's choking up, it's not working, and that is almost always the case. Having a little bit of battle rattle is usually a good thing if you are looking for a good defensive 1911, or like just an A1 1911. You don't want to spend a ton of money, but you want it to work. So ultimately, I have nothing against spending $500 or even $399 or $299 on a 1911. I think you're actually going to be just fine. I wouldn't expect it to be a work of art, but it's probably going to run 100%. And if you are in that price area, I would stick personally with just a Rock Island variation or a TSOS or SDS variation. I would not branch off from those two brands. When we go back to the 800 to 1200 category, there are some flyers in here that are not reliable and are brands that I would not recommend up until this point. Some of them, the brands are not around anymore. Para Ordnance, I am not a huge fan of those guns. I think the QC was all over the map during the Freedom Group situation. Really, as soon as Para Ordnance came into the United States from Canada, it started to go to hell pretty quick. Kimber, I would avoid like the plague. Any old Kimber, circa like 2001 to 2008, is actually an incredible pistol. After that period, you are almost guaranteed to have some type of issue with your Kimber. And they're going to tell you it's a break-in period. It's not a break-in period. They are really, really rough 1911s all the way around. They have a rust when you look at it finish. Not a good gun. Now, I do have one. I have the TLE RL2, and it has been fine. I had to replace some springs now. It started not fine. Now that I did a little bit of work on it, it's okay. Some of the other Remington 1911s, I don't have a ton of experience with, but again, I've seen a little bit of QC spottiness there. So when in doubt, I would stick to Springfield personally, right in that wheelhouse of price point. Ruger 1911s have always been excellent, right in that price point. SIG 1911s, surprisingly, I have had zero issues with mine, and I've had zero issues with anybody that I've sold one to. So I would stick with SIG 1911s in that price point. And then also Smith & Wesson 1911s. They make an incredible 1911 for the price. The Smith & Wesson and the SIG are not necessarily traditional 1911 slides. So holster fitment is going to be a little bit interesting with those two guns. But those four brands are going to be right in the wheelhouse of 800 to 1200, and they're going to get the job done very well. I've seen stellar reliability out of all of those 1911s. Never any issues. I want some features. I want some hand fitting. I want some cool stuff, but I still want to be 100% reliable. You're going to be in the price point of 1200 to 2000. 1200 to 2000. You're going to be in a wheelhouse where you have a few brands left that are going to deliver you a work of art that is also going to be 100% reliable most of the time. Now we're getting into brands like Dan Wesson. Dan Wesson makes a beautiful 1911 that is also very reliable. I've had very good luck with Dan Wessons across the board. Also bringing in Springfield once again with their glorious TRP that I absolutely love. And that 1911 is 100% proven multiple times in law enforcement throughout its life. That is going to start offering you a bull barrel, a non-bushing barrel, other flared magwell options, 20 lines per inch checkering on the front strap, things like that that are going to be present on those guns that take a little bit of machining time over kind of your just stock 1911A1 with a few extra beaver tails and other things. Another brand that is often forgot about in this category is Standard Manufacturing. That's right. The same company that makes the freaking DP12 actually makes glorious 1911s. If you are looking for a work of art that is also going to be reliable, a Standard Manufacturing 1911 is what I would recommend every day of the week. The story goes, at least from what I have heard, that the original gunsmiths that used to do the bluing and the 1911 work at Colt back when it was good went over to Standard Manufacturing and kind of taught them the ways over at Standard Manufacturing on how to do the proper deep cold bluing that was back in the day. And I got to tell you, the cold bluing and the case color hardened 1911s that they put out, I believe those are done by Turnbull. Both of those options are some of the most beautiful finishes I have ever seen on any firearm to this day. They are that good. We got to talk over 2K, and this is where a lot of people are going to get a little pissed at me, but I'm just being honest here. Once you start getting over the 2000 mark, you can usually throw reliability out of the window. We start getting into the match 1911s, the hand fit 1911s, the no movement, gonna print a clover at 25 yards, 50 yards 1911s, and that's all great, but you gotta know what you're getting into with a gun like that. A lot of people assume that because they're spending $4,000, $5,000 on a 1911 that it is going to be just the be-all, end-all in reliability, in defensive use, in look like a work of art gun. But what we have done is we have taken a gun that used to have a little bit of battle rattle and be able to run in all conditions, an incredibly reliable gun, and we have made it unreliable. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen somebody pick up an Ed Brown, a Les Baer, a Nighthawk, for thousands and thousands of dollars. And when I used to work at a shop with an indoor range, bring it right into that indoor range a few days later after cleaning it, maintaining it and all of those things and expecting it to be incredibly reliable, and after 50 rounds the gun just won't work. The manufacturer will say, well, you need a 1,000 round break-in period, and they'll say all of these things, but after 1,000 rounds it's still kind of not working too well. And still, after 500 rounds, you're probably going to need to break it apart and clean it. Yes, it is an unbelievably accurate pistol without a doubt. It's going to be smooth like glass without a doubt. But reliability issues are absolutely there. And for me, spending that much money on a pistol, I want it to be 100% reliable. So usually I do not recommend going into that price category. If you're just looking for a status symbol, you know, like a nice timepiece or something like that, you want a 3,000, 4,000 area 1911 for that reason, I get it. Don't get me wrong. And there are 100% flyers to that. I've heard incredible things about the Alchemy 1911s and also for being reliable. So those are in the like 31 to 38 area. I think there are definitely 1911s in that price point that can be reliable without a doubt. It's just quite a bit more rare that when you get over that area, you're going to be spending that amount of money, and also it's going to come with reliability. Everything under 2,000 is going to do almost everything those guns can do and more. So again, I would not go above that price. That's what my experience have been personally. I have worked for master Nighthawk dealers. I've seen Les Bears come through the shelf. I've seen Ed Brown's come through the shelf. I've seen Wilson Combats and pretty much any high dollar 1911 that is out there. And again, that has been my experience every day of the week. Take that for what you will. And hopefully this video was helpful. I get this question an unbelievable amount. And again, this is exactly how I would respond if you are a customer on the other side of the gun counter asking me, hey, what do I buy for my first 1911? So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions about this topic or anything else down in the comment section below, and I will absolutely read it. I'll try my hardest to get back to you. While you're down there, head up to the description for the ways to support the channel. And as always, stay tuned for more great content coming soon.